Hey everybody, it's Susie. Welcome to my craft room. Well, actually, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making jelly plates. Okay, what we're going to start out with is I'm going to do a 13 by 9 jelly plate. And actually I'm going to make two, one on camera and one off camera. And the reason I'm going to do two is because I'm using two different amounts of ingredients. So in this one I'm going to do one, and I'm going to put the recipe for both down in the description below. Then tomorrow I'll show you how they both turned out, and we'll compare the two. So this one is going to be done in this clear glass 13 by 9 pan, and I'm going to use a microwave safe bowl to put my ingredients in. I'm using 12 ounces of glycerin, and this is the glycerin bottle that I bought through Walmart.com. I hope y'all can see that. And I ordered those because I couldn't find any locally. And just for giggles. And by the way, the reason I used 13 by 9 is so a full sheet of paper would fit on the jelly plate. But just for giggles, I wanted to show y'all this huge box that they sent, these 4 little bottles I ordered in. So, anyway, I just thought y'all would get a kick out of that. But I wanted to show y'all that on a 13 by 9, your 8.5 by 11 will fit in here, or your A4 sheet of paper will fit in there. And for those of y'all across the pond, I apologize that I didn't look up the equivalent to a 13 by 9. It didn't dawn on me till just this minute. And y'all got to bear with me just a little bit today because I can't stand for very long, so I'm having to sit in my chair to do this. So I'm going to move this out the way for just a minute. Okay, now I want to explain measuring cups. Now I've already put my water in this measuring cup, so I can't tilt it. But cups like this are meant for liquids. Cups like this are meant for solids, your flour, things like that. So when you measure dry ingredients, that's what you measure those in. Liquid ingredients are measured in one of these like pourable type. And believe it or not, the difference between a half a cup and this and a half a cup in this is different. It's not a huge difference, and with this particular recipe, I don't think you have to be fanatical about your measurements. But because of my baking background, I'm a little bit fanatical about it. So, I just wanted to explain in case y'all didn't know, especially for the young folks who might not know the difference. So what we're going to do is I ordered this gelatin, and I don't know what I did. Oh, here's my box. Ordered this box from Walmart.com at the same time, and this actually has 32 pouches in it. And these pouches are pretty little, and I think they only have 1 tablespoon of gelatin each in them. And you can buy, just the one box of them if, wherever you go to get them, which should have about 8 packages in it. So my understanding is that you need 1 package for each cup of liquid that you have. And today we're using a 1.5 cups of glycerin and a 1.5 cups of water, so that would be 3 cups. Now, in my brain, that works out to 6 packages, but everybody says use 7, so we are going to use 7. I don't know why they bumped it up to 7, but we're just going to use 7 because they say to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to put these 7 packages in here. Now, ahead of time, I went ahead and put my glycerin in this bowl, and I'll tell you why I did. Glycerin is pretty thick, and I wanted to take advantage of as much of the glycerin as I could. So once I emptied it in there, I set my bottles upside down to drain for a little bit, and then I opened them up, to get out whatever little, the bits that, came up here and filled that up. Because I wanted to take as much advantage of that as I could. So, I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this. Now, while I'm doing this, of course I could, tell y'all while I'm microwaving, but, well, I guess I'll just wait for a minute. So because I talk and I'm working, I went ahead and counted my packages out before I started to open them, or else I would have had to stop and say, wait a minute, how many is that? So this is my 7 packages, if I could count correctly this morning. How's everybody doing? What's everybody working on today? I know, some of y'all have sent me messages and such about the jelly plates and getting this stuff. And I said, you probably want to wait to see how a jelly plate's used, or research how a jelly plate is used before you buy the ingredients, because it may not be something that you're interested in using, or will rarely, if ever, use. And so I wouldn't recommend buying any supply until you consider whether you're really going to use it much, or kind of the pros and cons of it. Well, when you buy a jelly plate, or I think it's a hectograph is what they call it, they're very, very expensive. So I'm showing you how to make a jelly plate this size for less than $10. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and I don't think it matters whether you pour the glycerin in first or the water in first. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my glycerin in first. And like I said, it's a little bit thick. And so I'm just going to take my spatula, because I can get all the little ooey gooeys out with the spatula. Don't want to waste any of that. And I'm just going to put that right in the bowl. And I'm sorry that you can't see through the bowl, but I should have used a clear bowl, I suppose, but I didn't think about it. Okay. And I'm going to set this bowl aside because I'm going to use it later. And on the next jelly plate that I'm going to make, it is going to be 6 ounces, or 3/4 cup of the glycerin and 3/4 cup of alcohol. And we're going to see how that does. Now, you're probably going to want to take a whisk. And, if you don't have a whisk, then a spoon will be fine. But, it's just going to take a little more action. We're going to stir this up until it becomes, pretty smooth. And, it really shouldn't take that long. You really just kind of want to get that gelatin mixed in. And it gets thick pretty fast. So, it's already, getting thick. Now, some people will tell you add boiling water, and that becomes a huge gloppy mess. So, everything that I've researched, and I've done plenty of research to see, the most success that people have had with this. And it seems like starting with the room temperature, or cooler water, works the best. My water is room temperature, obviously, because I set it out a little while ago while I was setting up supplies. Okay, so I think that's mixed in pretty good. So now, my whisk is acting stupid. So now I'm going to add in my water. And just, kind of mix that in. And the only reason I'm doing it a little bit slowly is I think it gives, all this time to incorporate without it, I don't know. That's just kind of how I'm doing it. So y'all do it, you do you. And just like when you're making Jell-O, how the gelatin wants to cling to the sides, kind of scrape your sides with your whisk a little bit, or use a spatula, and just mix that up. And this really, really doesn't take that long. And now I did watch people that used the boiling water, and they had to stir and stir and stir for, 10 minutes or whatever to get all the lumpy clumpies gone, and I don't know. So anyway, that's not me. So once I get this mixed up to where I think it's pretty good and mixed, which is about now, I'm going to set this off behind me and put it in the microwave for 45 seconds. And I do think that's mixed up pretty good. All right. So I'm just going to set that right in there. I'll pop this in the microwave for 45 seconds. Oh my goodness, that's 4 minutes. Let's not do that. Well, goodness gracious. Well, I can count, I think, if I don't talk too much. Okay. So what I'm going to do is 45 seconds at a time, and then I'm going to stir it. And what we're looking for is it to be transparent, where you can see through it. This is not going to come out clear. It's going to have a little yellow tint to it. So you want it to be see-through, completely see-through, transparent, where you can see through it. And so we will keep doing this every 45 seconds until we can see through it. Now, the importance of which pan you use. You can use any pan you want. You can use a brownie size pan, which is like an 8x8 pan. You can use a 13x9. Now, the smaller your pan, the thicker your jelly plate. If you want to make like little circular plates, like from bowls or whatever like that, you know, just you can mix up the same amount and just pour, you know, some in each of your containers that you plan to use. Okay, so let me, I guess I couldn't pay attention, so I went about a minute on that. It's not boiling or anything, so let's just kind of stir that up. And again, I kind of want to scrape those sides a little bit. And stir that. As you can see, it's, you know, it's kind of a milky look to it. But we just want to stir that up real good, because what we're trying to do is get that gelatin to dissolve. Now, you may want to know, another 45 seconds. Why I'm going to use 3/4 cup of, which is 6 ounces. I think I told you that, but 6 ounces of glycerin is 3/4 cup. So why I'm going to use 3/4 cup or 6 ounces of glycerin and 3/4 cup of alcohol. Glycerin is more expensive, obviously. Well, now during, you know, COVID, alcohol is way more than it used to be, but it's still not as expensive as glycerin. So I'm going to substitute one of the bottles of glycerin with the alcohol. So 6 ounces and 6 ounces, you know, is what I'm going to mix. Both of them are a preservative kind of situation, and so that's really what we're looking for, is to preserve our jelly plates so that they will last and not mold or mildew or whatever. Okay, so yeah, that's still not clear. And I want to take this and kind of scrape where this, where these little gelatin crystals are on the side. Kind of get those down in that liquid. I really don't want them, you know, kind of cooking to the side of the bowl. And we're going to stick that in there another 45 seconds. Now, microwaves vary. So, depending on the wattage of your microwave is probably how many times you're going to have to do this. I think this is the 3rd time. So, the alcohol should work the same as the glycerin. However, you can't use all alcohol. Now, there are some recipes that'll call for sugar and, you know, other things. Just don't do it. All you need is the water, the glycerin, and the gelatin, or the water, glycerin, alcohol, and gelatin. Like I said, alcohol is much cheaper than the glycerin, so, you know, whatever allows for your budget. Also, you may find that when you go into the store, they only have 1 bottle of glycerin. That's okay. You can substitute alcohol for the other half. And like I said, tomorrow I will unplate the jelly plates or hectographs, and you will see if there is any difference between the two. I don't know. I've never seen that, so we're going to find out. All right. Oh, this is getting closer, isn't it? And maybe I shouldn't be whisking this at this point, so I don't keep adding more air bubbles to it. I probably shouldn't have been whisking it once I put it in the microwave, so I could try to get rid of some of these air bubbles. Now, when we pour it into the pan, the air bubbles will come to the top. Now, what we know is the top, once we pour it in the pan, will end up being the bottom of your jelly plate. So the air bubbles are really not going to matter. I mean, if you just want to go through and pop them or whatever, if that's, you know, what makes you happy, then, you know, do you. All right, so I'm going to put this in there because it is not, it's still milky looking for another 45 seconds. Okay, The reason I'm not doing the other jelly plate on camera right now is because y'all know I'm disabled and it's very difficult for me to stand, so I'm having to sit here. But every time the microwave wave goes off, I have to get up, you know, and it really, my microwave is one step behind me, but the getting up, you know, the bringing the bowl over, you know, 2 steps, whatever, and then going back, you know, it's hard on me. So for purposes of, you know, of being able to do more today, I chose to just show one on film. I mean, y'all know, okay, if you're using 6-ounce bottle of glycerin, you know, and here, you know, too, if you don't have a measuring cup like this, and you only have the, you know, the dry measuring cups, take your bottle of glycerin and kind of mark with the marker where it's filled to. I mean, you don't have to go all the way around, just kind of where it's filled to. And then you can, you know, once you empty the glycerin out, you can take and pour your alcohol in there up to that line. You know, you don't have to be fanatical about your measurements. You don't want to be way, way off, but you don't have to be fanatical about it. All right, let's pull that out again. Now, tonight, you know, it's pretty early here. And so tonight, I will take a look. That's still a little bit milky. We're going to go another 45 seconds and see what happens. Tonight, I will check on them. I will not put these in the refrigerator, and I'm not going to cover them. You don't want to cover them because it traps moisture in there because this is warm. Oh, goodness. And you don't want to put it in the refrigerator. I don't know why. They just say don't put it in the refrigerator, so I'm not going to put it in the refrigerator. Now, I did see some that did put it in the refrigerator. I'm not. The majority of recipes that I've seen, the majority of people I've seen, the majority of videos I've watched, trust me, y'all, I have researched this, and this seems to be the most successful of all the recipes. You know, doing it in the microwave, you know, not using the boiling water to add to it because it kind of clumps up like immediately if you add boiling water. You know, I've researched it, and the, you know, the pros and cons of each method. I've got, you know, probably 15 or 20 hours in research just to make sure that I found the best method to do it right, you know, the first time. And to save money. What is that little speck running around in there? Well, you're coming out. Okay. Now, in our, when we're doing things, like for our craft room, we try to keep all of our dishes separated. So what we use in the kitchen, you know, we don't usually use in the craft room, and what we use in the craft room, we don't really reuse in the kitchen. But this is food grade product, obviously. The glycerin, you know, we use like in cake decorating and stuff. Well, glycerin's used for a lot of things, but, you know, in cake decorating and such, obviously that's still a little bit milky. We're going to put it back in there for another 45 seconds. Again, depending on the wattage of your microwave will be how long you're going to have to do this. So it's perfectly fine to use your clean, very clean kitchen things for this because we're not going to end up using these in our craft room. Now, your empty bottles of glycerin, if you work with paints, save your bottles of glycerin, your empty bottles, because you can add water and stuff to that, and, you know, painters use them, and I don't really know how to tell you how, but, you know, ask somebody that paints or is an artist, or Google it, or, yeah, I'm sure there's some YouTube videos on using glycerin with your brushes and things like that when you paint. I don't know. And maybe somebody will be helpful and leave it in the comments below why you use glycerin in your painting. And I'm not going to throw my bottles away because I want to know. You know, inquiring minds want to know. Okay, so let me pull this out, see how this looks. The bowl is getting quite hot. I think we're just about there, y'all. I mean, it's still a little bit milky, but And I can see it steaming real good. All right, let's try it again. And I think the reason that using boiling water and boiling water, and I can't say this for sure, but being you know, I was previously a pastry chef, and so I know from experience, like if you're cooking eggs and you're gonna make like a custard or, you know, something like that, or an icing where you are using eggs, and then you add hot liquid to it, it automatically tries to scramble your eggs, you know, because that's just, you know, eggs cook. And so the idea for that is you take a little bit of your cool liquid out, you know, and you add a little bit of the warm mixture to it, you know, and you kind of do it that way to get it where you're not cooking your eggs when you're doing that. So I think the same principle is with the gelatin, because if you add the boiling water to the gelatin, I think what it's going to do is make it clump immediately. It's going to want to make that that gelatin do its thing immediately, instead of like a slow process like this where we have the opportunity to stir it and you know, make it better. So I still am not feeling that that's clear enough, so it's supposed to be completely clear, so we are going to do it again. And I have no idea how many times that was. I lost count because I was talking. But I'm still sticking with the 45-second, because if I, you know, get really excited and go for a minute or a minute and a half or whatever, I could, I guess, in theory, over-process it or overcook it, and I don't want to do that. You know, I want to do this slow and right. Now, I was going to say that tonight I will check the jelly plates. They should be set up tonight. I won't unmold both of them. However, I do want to check them and see if they are tacky. And if they are tacky and don't feel right, I will unmold one of them, break it up, throw it back in the bowl, melt it back down, and pour it back in the pan, and that should fix any problems. Also, if when you pour it in, there's, you know, and you undo it, and there's, you know, little indentions or whatever in there, you know, you can tear it up. Also, when you use your jelly plates, you know, over time, they're going to get little pits and dings and whatever in them. And you can chop it up, put it back in the bowl, melt it back down, pour it in your pan, let it sit, and voila. Okay, we're going to do it 45 more seconds. It's still looking milky to me. Okay. Ouch. Yeah, our bowl's getting pretty hot. Now, I don't think I told you on the pans. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm repeating myself. But when you pick a pan to do this in, make sure that it is completely ding-free on the bottom. So if you're using a metal pan, for example, you want to make sure it doesn't have rust spots or, you know, dug out spots, you know, from where you've been cooking in it or what have you. You want it to be completely smooth, because remember, when we take this out, what's down here is going to be our top, and any imperfections are going to show in our in our finished product. And so we don't want anything, anything at all, to be on the bottom. Now, this is a Pyrex brand, and the writing is on the bottom. If it were on the inside, I wouldn't use this, because that would show up every time you use your jelly plate. And now I'll put that right in the way. Oh, look at that. That looks clear, doesn't it? You know what? I might go one more time on that, because it's not completely clear. It was starting to get really clear on the edge. So I think I'm going to try that one more time. I'm just continuing this with this on video so that y'all can see what it looks like before I pour it in there. And this doesn't have the most pleasant smell. I mean, it's not like awful, but and I'm not one just to, you know, bend down and smell something. So that was, you know, coming from the steam that I smelled that. And a lot of people will sniff everything. My daughter's a sniffer. She likes to sniff everything. You know, before she eats anything, she sniffs it. If you give her something, you know, to hold, she sniffs it. I know there's a lot of, my mother was like that. She was a sniffer. So I don't know why some people sniff and some people don't, but I'm not a sniffer. And maybe it's because of the asthma and things set off my asthma, and, you know, I don't want to do that. I don't know, but I've never been a sniffer. And I haven't always had asthma, so I don't know. So it, you know, this is not offensive, like, you know, oh my God, I got to spray air freshener and all that. Now, under this foam, and I wish I could show you from the side view, but under this foam, it is clear. Can y'all see that? Under that foam, that is clear. So once I start stirring this, it's probably this foam, these bubbles on the top are probably going to make it look a little bit more milky, but it is not. It is clear. So we're going to call that done. So if you're using a glass bowl and can see that it's clear, it's done. If you're not using a glass bowl, you know, if you're using, say, a stainless steel bowl, when you take it out of the microwave after several tries, just pull that foam back and look. If it's clear, then you're good. And I know that's not, let me get a bigger spatula, see if you can see a bigger swap of that. Okay, let's see how clear that is under there. And that's pretty doggone clear. I don't think we can get it any clearer than that. Okay, so now I'm just going to pour this in this pan. Ooh, that bowl is hot. But I don't want to get all the goodness out of it, so. And I didn't make it to waste it, right? Okay. Now, oh yeah, you can see better now how clear that is. Oh. Now, like I said, you don't have to go through and pop all these little bubbles. Now, if you want to, that's fine. But I don't think that's necessary. You want to make this as level as possible. Now, to me, what I'm looking at right here, and of course I haven't unmolded it, so I don't know. This looks like it's going to be about a 1/4 inch deep. You may want it thicker. If you do, double the recipe. You know, you can still do it in the same bowl. It's probably going to take longer to microwave and all that. And, you know, pour it in and it'll be thicker. A 1/4 inch, to my understanding, is perfectly fine. You do want this to sit as level as possible. So if it looks a little bit unlevel, you know, take a little piece of paper, a little piece of paper towel, you know, whatever, put it under the corner. You know, maybe that's too much. Maybe you need to take a little bit out. I mean, just whatever you need to do to kind of make it level. And I don't know if it's level or not. My eyes are crooked, so I'm not the best one to tell you that. It actually does look a little bit off on this end, but I couldn't say for sure. So I'm going to just stick a little piece of paper towel under this end and watch it be wrong in this direction after I do this. But it really does look off to me right here. Now, make sure you tell your hubby, partner, kids, friends, whatever, not to mess with this. If you have cats, you know, don't let them get up, you know, on your countertops, get in it, wherever you put it, you know, you want to protect this. Also, you know, you don't want this in a dusty area, or if you have pets, you know, the pet hair flying around and all that. And, you know, everybody who has pets, unless you have, like, poodles that don't shed, are going to have, you know, floaties. if that's the case, you know, find a place to put it. You know, maybe in your oven, but don't use your oven, you know, that day. You know, put a sign on your oven, do not use, or something in the oven, whatever, so that you don't end up cooking this. Maybe in the top of a closet somewhere where nothing is going to get in it. You know, nobody's going to mess in it. Nobody's going to be tempted to poke at it or, you know, play with it. You know, the cat's not going to be tempted to, you know, mess in it or whatever. So, anyway, that is it. That is it for this. Like I said, the only difference I'm going to do for the next one, I'm going to use the same 7 packets, 1 bottle of glycerin, which is 6 ounces. 6 ounces equals 3/4 fluid ounces. And for those across the pond, that's 177 milliliters. So 177 milliliters of glycerin and 177 milliliters of alcohol and the water. Okay, so it's still going to be the same 1.5 cups or the, oh my God, I didn't do the math. 300 and, is it 54, y'all? Milliliters? Whatever 177 times 2 is. You're going to have double the amount of water. 6 ounces of this, 6 ounces of the alcohol, or 177 milliliters of this, 177 milliliters of the alcohol, or 3/4 cup, however. Anyway, so these are fluid ounces, not dry weight ounces. So that does make a difference. Okay, so I will see y'all back here tomorrow for the ungelling or whatever we call this, of taking this out and to see what our finished product looks like. Y'all can see, I hope, how clear that is now. It's looking really good. And the other one, I will have it done too. If one of them feels tacky and I pull it up on one end and feel the underside and it doesn't feel right, and if both of them are like that, then I will go ahead and break it up, melt it down, and redo it. But if both of them are kind of a mess, then I'm gonna, if only one is a mess, I'm gonna leave it so y'all can see how I take it apart. I do want to show you, this was the cup that I had been putting this in, you know, after I stirred it. I want y'all to see how this gels up, just kind of like Jell-O. All right, so I'm going to immediately go, I'm going to dump the rest of this in the trash, and I'm going to rinse this out because I am going to be reusing it again. But I wanted you to see how quickly that's already starting to gel, because, of course, that's just a little bit, you know, and it doesn't take long to cool off, just a little bit. So this is going to take, you know, probably all day. Let it sit all night or whatever, and then, you know, come back to it and unplate it. You don't want to unplate it too quickly, but, you know, when it's good and dry. So we'll see you back tomorrow. Thank you all for joining me. If this is your first time here, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're a new subscriber, thank you. If you've been here with me for a long time, thank you. Please run over and hit the notification button, the bell button, to be notified every time I upload a video. And please give me a thumbs up, a like, and leave me a comment down below of encouragement. You know, if you've enjoyed this, if you didn't enjoy it, if you want to see something different, if, you know, you've tried it and it didn't work, or you did try it and it works great, you know, let me know. I want some feedback from y'all, because this is literally my first time making jelly plates. You know, I had someone to ask me how to make jelly plates, and I've done hours and hours of research because I wanted to make sure that I came up with what seemed to be the best homemade permanent jelly plate recipe. Okay. All right, y'all, I love you. Thank you so much, and I will see you back for the jelly plate tomorrow and just a little bit for my 3 and 15. All right, blessings and hugs, everybody. Bye.